As you know, life is important on this show, and many of you call in looking for meaning, insight, direction, guidance to live a good life. But did you know when you are harmed and compensated that it is based on the way you live a normal life? What does that mean? Stay tuned right now for this series here on Radio Medium. Stay tuned for the Radio Medium series, Know Your Worth, with my expert lawyer and owner of Kanoski Bresney Lawyers, Todd Bresney. Welcome back.
Thanks, Laura. How are you?
I'm good. All right.
I-
So let's go. Let's get into this, okay? Let's talk about what's it mean in the law by normal life.
Yeah. So a lot of states have laws that tie in your ability, if you get harmed, to not only claim medical bills and out-of-pocket expenditures, lost wages, but also to be fully and fairly compensated for loss or diminishment, temporary or permanent, of what's known as a normal life. And so the law has actually kind of figured that into your compensation because they know that it's not going to be normal for you. So when we look at this, it's really interesting. How does the law define it? In most jurisdictions, define it as the temporary or permanent diminished ability to enjoy your life. And that usually includes even the pursuit of pleasurable aspects of life. Okay. It's very broad. In other words, if you think about it, it kind of ties into our Bill of Rights, our inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Not the attainment, because anyone who's lived longer than 20 years knows you'll never attain true happiness.
Right.
The pursuit
Pursuit.
of happiness. Yeah. Yeah.
Clever.
Interesting.
So what can you share a story?
Well, yeah, but I want to go back just for a second to like normal and what normal is. And
Okay.
normal, to you is different than normal to me.
Right.
And it's really interesting that a lot of these definitions, even though the juries are allowed to or trying to figure out what normal isn't a word that they use. It's the definition I gave you usually. And what that means is any life in America, any possible life that you could have, it's taken from you. And so the founders and the originators of these laws, which goes back hundreds of years, knows that if I choose, if I'm in America, the greatest country in the world, if I choose to sit on the sofa and eat Cheetos all day, right? That's normal for me. That's pleasurable for me. That's what I choose to do. And if you harm me so I can't do that anymore, then you have to fairly and fully compensate me. The whole idea is to make you whole again, what you were, what you could be, what you had the right to do. And that's why lots of times these are overworked. I mean, when you get harmed, you can't walk, you can't sit, you can't lay, you can't sleep well. I mean, we all know sleeping, just 1 or 2 hours shy a night now, we all know is detrimental long term. You
Right.
get dementia, you lose years off your life. So all these things tie into your pleasurable aspects of life. I mean, who could be having fun at a family gathering if they're in pain?
Right.
So you asked about stories. I'll tell you one in particular.
Yes. Yes. So
I
now let me ask this
Yeah, go
question.
ahead.
So there's
Go
breathers in between. Okay.
ahead.
So can you give us an example? Stay in the frame. Can you give us an example of a court case that you dealt with and a client in
Yeah,
regards to normal life?
sure. Sure. I had a client who had a very unusual life. And his life, he decided as a young age, and he was, in his mid to late 30s when he met me, unfortunately. And his life was one that a very few people travel that road, which is competitive sports, competition where you train year round, not for a professional football or baseball team, but like marathon races, long-term races, triathlons, things of that nature. And he did well enough that he was able to support his family and make a good living at it. And, unfortunately, when things happen and people negligently were failing to use reasonable care, caused major harms to him, that life was no longer on the table. And now this isn't something, the insurance companies always thought, well, he should be sitting at a desk working 9 to 5 or in a factory like the rest of us. That's not fair. That's not what the law is. The law is he chose to live his life. It brought him great pleasure to work out, to compete, to have the euphoria, to have the adrenaline rush, and to see his family at the finish line. So they were wrong. We were right. And that actually ended up in a very large 7-figure result for that man.
Interesting.
Because and it should be. But again, if you look at the rules and you know the law and you know what the whole basis of our life should be, which is we get to decide, we have the freedom, the liberty to choose how we want to live our lives. No one has the right to take that away, and not certainly no company has a right to diminish the value of what was lost. At least
Interesting.
that's
While listening to you talk about this, how does the court measure that since everybody has a different, quote, normal life?
well, they do what most states do, which is it's from a jury of your peers, and they're required to follow the law, whether they believe it or not, whether they think it's a good law or not, to sit there and listen to the evidence and then decide what is this value. And it's very difficult. It's the hardest thing of all trials because there isn't a book, there isn't a standard. Listen, I've said this before in this program. I've said it in many other places. As human beings, we value ourselves much, much less than we do material possessions. We shouldn't, because time and life are two of the most precious, rarest resources we have. And using our capitalistic system that we have, if they're precious and they're rare, then they should be the most expensive. And that's my take. And I think it should be everyone's take, including the insurance companies who refuse to pay, a fair and full compensation for people who are unfairly harmed.
What is one takeaway that you could suggest to everybody about increasing their value of their
Well,
normal life?
well, I mean, I don't even need to be a lawyer to tell you that. And grab both hands, hang on, and do what makes you happy. And just be mindful of every moment of every day where even the absence of tragedy, the absence of hardship is something that should be held tight to, and really kept in your mind and kept in your heart.
Yeah, the words that ran through my head is it could be worse.
That's a way to get through it. And a lot of people
Yeah.
say that, but the
Mhm.
fact is that life, you know, it's like a storm. One moment you're basking in the sun, and the next you're shattered upon the rocks. That's a Dumas quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes, but that's true. And the fact of the matter is that is life. So whatever we choose to do, we're going to have these hardships. We get through them. That's what creates, who we are, and it's how we go out, that sets the tone. But we don't have to go out and accept what's happened to us, and that's what the law is built around. If somebody is careless and they cause you significant harm, then there's going to be significant compensation to make it right.
Right. I don't know if we've talked about this, but I'm going to ask it. Okay. So, why do the courts allow us to ask for compensation for the way we live?
Well, it ties back to that concept of making you whole again. When we don't have time machines, so we can't go back in time and reassert our health. 100% of my clients over 28 years have all said money is insignificant compared to what they lost. If they could just go back and have what they had, they would do it in a heartbeat. And I don't care if it's millions, tens of millions of dollars. They would take their legs all day, all night, than $30 million. They would take their livelihood, their health, their mental stability over any amount of money. And then that
Right.
leads, that begs the question: then why give it? Because giving it and coming back with a full and fair compensation under the law is it gives you purpose. It tells you that what you lost was valuable, that you are something, and quite frankly, we need to put you in a place where at least money can be spent to put you at least close to the type of life you want to live, or you have the ability to choose to live under normal life, right?
Mm,
Your normal, and
mm.
that's why.
Thank you for sharing. That's a lot to think about.
That is,
Thank
it's
you.
heavy.
Yeah, it is. And thank you, God, for today. Be grateful for what you have for today. So, with that, Todd Bresney, where can people find you?
At 888, the letter U, count, and then the number 2, or bresneylaw.com, BRESNEY law.com.
If you like this episode and you want more, don't forget to subscribe, share it with your family and friends, and hey, leave us a review. And you can tune into your spirit each and every day by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite forum. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Hold on.